History of Porto, also known as Oporto, Portugal's second largest city, goes back over 1,000 years. Jews built a thriving and prosperous community there until the expulsion of all Jews from Portugal in 1496. A century ago, a small community reestablished itself, and over the past decade, Porto's Jewish population has grown to over 1,000 thanks to the government's policy of allowing foreign Jews who can trace their roots back to Portugal to obtain citizenship. Now Porto's Jewish community is making history again by becoming the first ever to declare that the Jewish Agency, the organization that oversees Israel's relationship with the diaspora, will become the legal heir to the community's assets if it should officially dissolve itself in the future. And those assets are considerable, including the magnificent Kaduri Makor Chaim Synagogue, Porto's Jewish Museum, and its Jewish cemetery. Well, joining us now from Portugal is Michael Rothwell, director of Oporto's Jewish and Holocaust Museums. Michael, thank you so much for joining us. We should explain, it's not a new decision. The process was actually started a couple of years ago. It's not a reaction to October 7th. So why did the community decide to make this move, making the Jewish Agency the legal heir to its assets?
Good afternoon, Kalev. It's a pleasure to speak to you. You're quite right. The decision was made in 2021, and it's being made more public now because of the rise in anti-Semitism. And it seems to us it's an important moment to publicize what we've done. It takes on a particular significance now in the light of the anti-Semitism that's on the rise since 10th of October.
Right. There is a sort of irony here because Porto, I would almost say famously, is one of those few Jewish communities that's seen its Jewish population increase in recent years. So I wonder why the thinking is even there, even though it's not overall great numbers, but why even the thinking there that this situation might become necessary?
That's a very good question. So, as you know, this increase in the Jewish population it follows the complete absence of Jewish population in Portugal for centuries. Due to the expulsion and Inquisition. And people might think that's a thing of the past. But, you know, if you look at developments today, particularly in the 21st century, you see throwbacks to the past, you see developments which you thought would never happen again. And the fact is that anti-Semitism is always there with us in the background. Even in Portugal, there is latent anti-Semitism, and taking a view of the broad sweep of history, we think just because things might seem safer now, you never know what the future is going to bring. Just as the Germans back in Germany in the 1920s never could have imagined what was going to face them a decade or two later. You know, all associations have to have provisions for what happens if the association is extinguished. And our provisions initially were in the statutes that our assets would go to the nearest Jewish community. But as I say, taking a look at the broad sweep of history, it seemed to us much more appropriate to contemplate the Jewish Agency as an agency which is all over the world, which, as you say, looks after the matter of the diaspora, has been around since 1929 and hopefully will be around for a lot longer.
Right. Now, Michael, if you travel through much of Europe, unfortunately, you do see museums and synagogues and communities in areas where there is no longer any Jewish community. I wonder what the reaction there is in Portugal. For example, locally or in the population or the government to leave it to an agency which is based in Israel, which I guess could transfer some of those assets if it had any reason to do so in the future.
Well, you're quite right when you refer to the fact that places in Europe no longer have Jewish communities, and the fact that our communities is on the rise. It's an increasing, thriving community, and obviously we hope and believe that that trend will continue, and will continue for a long time. So the scenario that we've made provision for in our statutes is one that we hope will never happen. Okay, so it's just a clause that has to be there, that we leave assets to somebody. And as I say, in the broad sweep of history, that would seem to me the most appropriate beneficiary of the Jewish agency.
As you say, you hope it never happens. Unfortunately, in the broad sweep of history, if you look at what happened in countries like Portugal and Spain, unfortunately other countries, it is understandable. Michael Rothwell there in the Oporto Jewish and Holocaust Museums, thank you for joining us on Jewish World Weekly.
Thank you, Helen. Thank you.